you can hear me, but I just want to ensure that you can see my screen.
Could see your screen, Faisal.
Great, thank you. Okay, so here the today is actually I'm going to talk about a couple of things. Before I begin, just let me run through a few things. Do you have a exciting gift and everything to win this prize? You just need to do certain things where you need to enter the unique code that I'm sharing. So don't need to ask my unique code. There are few places I put my unique code in my slides. Just capture that so you will get it. Okay, I was sitting since morning. People are asking that I have put few places in my slide, so you can get that. Okay, then Kamalesh will share the survey link end of the session. Then you enter it, then you will be able to participate on the lucky draw. Okay, that's one thing. Then second, there is an beautiful or things that actually we are working on. Just contribute whatever you can to this society so that we can able to support the society. Okay, with this. This is I'm Faisal, and senior cloud solution architect with Microsoft. 5 years today. I'm going to talk about build secure and effective landing zone. Right. So that's the session that I'm going to talk about. I'll explain more what I'm going to do and everything. So just a high level intro, just about myself. Right. I'm in this industry for the last 25 years. I have done the various certifications and various things, and also got the um, number of prestigious awards from Microsoft. One of them is a Gold Club member, which is the second highest award in Microsoft. And also I'm with Microsoft for the last 5 years. And also, in this industry for last 25 years, I started Azure in 2010 when it was incubation. So I'm working in Azure for last 10 years. I also MVP for Microsoft Azure in from 2011 to 2016. Then when I joined, then I lost my MVP, but still I'm happy. The community reaching out and community so I'm supporting. Okay. Now this thing is actually, if you think, on top of whatever you are getting the prize from the organizer, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to give 2% from this right now. If interesting, then I can extend to 2 or 3, depends, right? So stay till end, ask question at the end when we start open up the question for the forum. Then I'll get the difficult question or easiest question, whatever it is actually you challenge me, then I will go with that. Then you enter your email address, the winner that I told you, reach out to Kamalesh, just can get the email address on the chat window. I will send you the code directly. Okay, so you can get and start using the 1 year Office 365 subscription. Okay, so with this, right, today what we are going to see, we are going to see inside Azure subscription. Then I will go. I'm going to talk about what is the enterprise data center migration challenges, and what is landing zone, and where I can start. Right. Exactly. Some of them is asking, how do I start? Right. Then enterprise scale landing zones demo. So this is my overall things. I have very packed content, so I will be a bit rushed, but stop me if you want to slow down anything. Just stop. Okay. I can slow down. No issues. Okay. Now, the first thing is actually, if you know in Azure, right? So many people familiar with AWS, GCP, and everything. Whenever we go to customer, generally they talked about, hey, I have an account. How do I do that in Azure? So in anything that if you are familiar with AWS, just think that Azure is actually account is equal to subscription in Azure. Okay. So Azure subscription that you have a resource group. You don't have this resource concept in AWS. We have resource group just like a container. You have a different type of container. You can put many things, right? For example, in our mother at her home, everything she make it a different bottle. She put it in different bottle, just like that. Think is a container that you can put everything inside. Anything that you want to group, you can put inside. Then resources that is goes inside the resource group. It can be VM, it can be VNet, it can be a storage account, anything, right? That's what we call subscription. Now, if you look at this, right, how do I deploy my resources to subscription? You will access the API, you will do the resource manager, then you will deploy your resources to the your things, right? You have various mechanism. You can do a PowerShell, you can do Azure portal, you can do CLI. Okay, then various things. Then you can even use Terraform to deploy your resources directly to the Azure. Okay, now If you look at this, right, then how do I do my authentication, authorization, role-based management, and everything? You can define roles. There are nearly 250 roles that we have created. You can use that role. Or if you want to, customize the role, you can customize the role, then you can able to do it. You want to, do some resource limitation. You want to apply resource policy. You want to have a financially, I want to do this much of spending. You want to monitor. You can do all those things, right? So these are the thing is what we call is an Azure subscription. So you have Azure AD tied to the tenant. Then you can apply the role-based access across many subscriptions. Okay. Now, in side by side comparison, if you look at right, you have virtual network in Azure, you have subnet, you have load balancer, and you have internal load balancer, you have VM. Then if you want to protect, you have a network security group, you have a disk and storage accounts. If you look at side by side, again, AWS, you can see the subnets, security group, elastic load balancer external, elastic load balancer internal. Then you have a security group. Just similar to the same thing, just some terms here and there is changing, right? Rest of the thing is the same. Now, if you look at all this, right, everything looks perfect. Now, if I want to go and deploy a workload, I have a project. Okay, I'm starting my project. I want to deploy this project. I have come up with a project A. So what I did actually, I went ahead and deployed the project. Okay, so I created a virtual network. I created 3 subnet, and each subnet actually I protected with a network security group. I deployed the VM. Perfect, no issues. Things work awesome as I expected. Now I'm going ahead again. I have a project B. I started my project B, and I actually looking into my project B, and I deploy the same thing in my project B. Works fine, no issues at all. Now, again, I got another 2 more project, right? Project C, project D. I have created, right? If you look at thing, everything is in individual subscription. Okay. Now the challenge comes in one thing, right? If I want to peer this V2 VNet, how do I peer? Because the IP address are identical, it's going to conflict for me, right? How do I manage this 4 subscription together? How do I connect all of them? How this guy can talk to this guy can talk to this guy can talk to this, right? All this is going to be complex. Because if it's a single monolithic cloud deployment, I'm fantastic, no issues at all. But in a real life situation, if you look at you are working in multinational company or actually enterprise customer, do you think that it's going to be uh, different kind of thing, different type of thing? Every application is going to be different. You need to have unique strategy for this, right? So with this, right, you can see here. You may wonder, is a cloud is actually only suitable for individual workloads, or the cloud can lead to many isolated workloads. I cannot put combine a combination of many workloads, or can I get a more effective way of deploying this, or can I apply the isolation policies for everything? Then how do I comply to regulator requirement? Because if you look at right, if you are working in the banking sector, if you are working in the government sector, if you are working in the healthcare sector or insurance or retail, everyone has a different type of regulators. There are coming with so many things actually is regulators asking this, right? So you need to comply to the regulator requirement. How do I going to comply to the regulator requirement if I'm going to deploy everything a single isolated subscriptions, right? So now, if you look at this, can we make this in a core cloud more like my data center? Because in my data center, how do I do? I connect my pipes, I do everything, and all of them is working together. I have one gate to go out, one gate to come in, right? Can we make this kind of thing in Azure, right, or any other cloud? So this is the question that is coming from my CIO. They want to connect VPN, they want to connect everything in a single source and everything, right? This is a big challenge at the moment. Now, you have overcrossed all this, but still, you want to go and deploy. How many of you experience this in your organization? Your security come and say that, hey, what you are trying to do? Stop. I'd want to do a lot of security check here. Do you have done A, B, C, D? I don't know. What do you mean? I never know this, right? So can you go and do all this? What are the things, right? This is what we experience every time. Now, if you look at this, right, if you are trying to migrate your data center or build cloud native workloads, the first thing is that, how I'm going to do my security, how I'm going to do my compliance, what are the governance policies that I'm going to set. Then what is the standardization and automation process that I'm going to bring onto this? Because every time I deploy, I want to deploy the same thing. I don't want to deploy, today I deploy one, tomorrow I'm going to deploy something. No, I want to standardize everything. I want to automate this stuff. Then how I'm going to do my identity and access management. Who can access what? Because I'm going to have a multiple subscription, multiple things. How do I govern my identity? How do I do my lifecycle management or my access management, right? Then how I'm going to do my networking and monitoring all the stuff, right? I want to have a one gate to go out. I want to monitor everything goes come in and go out, right? I want to do this. How I'm going to do this? These are the fundamental questions that every organization will ask, every security person will ask, every governance person will ask in the organization, right? We need to cross this first before even you deploy workload in Azure. Now, to do this, right, first thing is actually, if you look at any organization, these are the 6 challenges that we go through: governance, security, compliance, infrastructure, monitoring, and automation. If you take it, officer would come and say, I want to manage encryption. I want to do prevent the data leak. I want to do MFA. I want to collect all the networking log. I want to do forensic investigation. I don't want to allow any no public IP. I want to know what is the password retention strategy that you have. How do I do customer managed key? And how do I pump my all log to my SIM tool? For example, it could be a Splunk, it could be small logic, whatever it is, right? I want to do the data log. I want to do that. How do I do this? Then how do I do automate this? For example, I want to commit to apply all the things I want to make it an automation. Then I want to build my enterprise cloud control plane, right? This is the thing commonly people ask. But if you look at this, the tip of the iceberg is very limited. But if you look at the deep, that you can see how much that we need to work on, because these all already exist in the on-prem. If you go to the cloud, it should be the same. You can't say that, no, I can't do this, right? Nobody going to approve in the regulated environment. Now, if you look at this, what is landing zone? Landing zone, like you look at, right? The flight is trying to land somewhere. There is separate place for you to land. If you can't land the flight everywhere that you want. It's not like a bus, it's not like a car, right? It need to be a proper way to land. Similarly, you also need to have a proper way to land your workloads or your cloud deployments. There are a lot of governance, lot of process that you need to take care. Okay, first thing, for example, if I take it here, you are trying to fly one country to another country. What do? First thing you do to go to airport, right? You go to departure hall. Then you go and see the airlines. Then you give a passport, you give a ticket, then they actually give you the boarding pass. Then you walk into the departure hall. Inside, there is a security check first. They will ensure that you are on the right person or not. They will ask you they will look at your ticket, they will look at your passport, then they will actually able to get the right thing. Then the immigration will check you. Then you'll go to the gate. Then gate again, the officer will check. Then the boarding airlines will check your boarding pass. You are rightly boarding or the flight or not, right? How many checks happen in between if you want to board on the flight? So if you look at this, the person coming from here, he can come all the way after an immigration check, then he will come to the check-in gate. Then the gate, you will have a checkup. Then you will have a tunnel. You will use the tunnel to go inside the flight. Similarly, if you are coming back, you will also come to the flight. You will go to this tunnel. Then you will go all the way to that tunnel. Then you will go to the immigration. Then you will go able to check out, right? It's all, if you notice this, there is a one way to come in and one way to exit. Similarly, when you land, one way to come in, one way to exit, right? If you look at the architecture that we've seen here previously, in every project that you see here, right, the previous project, everywhere that you have exit, everywhere that you can go. There is no way that I can able to control one way all this, right? I want to have a one way. When I land my flight on the landing zone, I need to ensure that I want to be correctly going. Before even landing, I need to ensure I'm landing in the right path. For example, if I land my A380 flight on this particular landing zone, I may not be able to land successfully because the this landing zone length may not be big enough, or the width of the landing zone is not enough for me to land my A380 flight. Whereas I can land it on this landing zone. And here I can only land A320 flights, right? In that way, my flight is actually based on my flight requirement. I may change my landing zone one to another. Then I can go to certain path, then I can park, then passenger can go out, they can go everything, right? Just think this is an example. Similarly, every workload that you are going to bring onto the cloud, you must have a landing zone. Each landing zone may be different or different purpose, right? You can't fit everything in one landing zone. For example, if you are trying to deploy SAP workload, it may be different. If you are going to deploy AKS workload, it may be different. Then what you are talking about, Faisal, just now you said that you must have everything same. Now you are saying that I need to have a different landing zone. Think, right? If you are actually you have a different landing zone, different purpose, but all the flights are landing here, right? But the flights are landing, you can come here, you can go. Similarly, but the policies for each and everything is vary, right? The underlying requirement may be the same, but the policies are actually is going to change, depends on the requirement. Only we are talking about how do we build the policy, how do we bring those things. For example, if you want to build a city, basically what we do, we need to have a water, gas, electricity. These are the important factor, right? But the policy that made in the city, it's the same, it's made by government. But this requirement may be changed here and there, right? Similarly, I also need a network connectivity. I am policy management, everything just like a utility that I need to build first. When my utilities are ready, I can build my house, I can build my anything that I want. If my utility not ready, it's very hard to build, right? Similarly, I just need to ensure that my networks are ready, my IAM policies are ready, my policies are ready, my management requirements are ready. With this, right, if you look at in Azure, we have very clear, guidance that we have come up with called landing zone. If you look at, you need to have IAM policy, sorry, IAM RBAC control. You have a policy, you have management and monitoring, and you can deploy your workload. Under there, you can able to define things like monitoring, network watcher, security center, cost management. You can deploy a number of applications, right, to meet the security need. But still, you know, the organization want to have security, governance, and compliance. For example, if you look at rate, if you go to security person, he will say, that, hey, I want to ensure that anti-malware software signatures are up to date. Any VM deployed on my network, I want to ensure the anti-malware is there, right? The signatures are up to date. Then ensure regular automated backup is made. For whenever I deploy new VM, automatically turn on my backup. Then enable logging for Azure network activity, enable threat detection and Azure resources, right? I want to detect anything happening or not. Then I also want to do IDS and IPS detection, and I also want to create a private network altogether. And I also restrict the access based on the conditions, right? This is what actually is I want to do. All these controls in place whenever my new subscription comes up, right? That's a basic thing that I want to do. So after you hear from me, you may think, hey, great, you know, the way to go, it's only way to I want to build a enterprise scale landing zone policy driven, because I want to do everything based on the policy driven, right? I want to write a policy. I want to drive everything. Example, any country, anywhere you go, there is a policies, right? There is a law, there is a policy built in. You can only operate within the policies. You can't go beyond the policy. If you go, then you need to get a special approval, right? Similarly, in Azure, in the cloud also, you need to do that. I want to drive everything policy driven. Every time anything comes up, the policy will enforce. Okay. To do that, right? let's say what I want to do. I want to build my baseline. First, I want to build baseline. In the baseline, I want to do connectivity, log management, Terraform state, or monitoring. Then I want to put my cloud security and policies on top of it. Then I want to bring my platform. Whenever I do platform, I want to do endpoint management, resource group, security, storage account, hub VNet, NSG, UDR, spoke VNet, everything that I want to brought up. When I bring this, what I want to do, I want to bring actually is anytime that new thing comes in, I want to prevent. Things I don't want to do, I don't want to do. Things I can allow, but I want to detect anybody do anything wrong. Then anybody do anything wrong, I want to remediate automatically. I don't want to somebody to come and tell me that hey, you did wrong. It's already somebody hacked or somebody is not doing right. I want to remediate immediately. So three things I want to convey. I want to prevent, I want to detect, I want to remediate. All need to be done automatic. Not only for my platform, I want to do this for my entire application that I'm going to brought up on top of it. It could be data lake application. It could be in a Kubernetes application. It could be in AVD or app service, lift and shift workload or AVS, right? Anything it can be. I want to make sure that I am actually able to get all this, right? Anytime that my subscription is come up, I want to build the landing zone. The landing zone can be, all this baseline that I have. Every time that my new subscription come up, I want to enforce all these policies inside. Okay. So first time this application subscription comes, it goes and enforce. If this one comes, it need to go and enforce. No way that people can create a subscription without having this enforcement. Okay. Great, Faisal. I went to Google. I searched for landing zone. It's giving me so many things. All right. It gives me so many paths, so many ways to do it. Here, how do I do? Where is the best way for me to begin? Is there a way that I can jumpstart in my entire journey? Right. That's a question maybe in the top of your mind. You don't speak, but I can hear you. I can know your mind voice, right? Now look at this. Here is the 8 design principle that Microsoft come up with. We have this 8 design principle. I will walk you through all this one by one, then I'll take you to the demo. Let me take to this page and walk you through one by one. The first thing is actually you need to go to Azure, the portal. If you look at this, what is actually is landing zone that you can see. Before I go, if you look at, we have released the cloud adoption framework. In this framework, you can see that there are actually the pillar that I just show you. The pillar is here. In this, if you look at here, in the ready state, because you want to get started, how to get started, you can look at this. How do I do strategy? You can look at this. How do I do plan? You can look at this. But if you come to landing zone, here is the option. In the ready state, we have a landing zone. You can click the landing zone. It will take you to the landing zone page. It will give you what you need to be done, right? Then if you scroll down the small video, just you can listen later. Then you can see that the landing zone, how do we conceptualize? You have enterprise agreement, you create a number of subscription, you can create a groups, then you can able to have a different subscription for different purpose. For example, all my identity, it goes to here. All my management related stuff goes to here. All my connectivity related goes to here. Anything that I called about landing zone comes here. Anything that, sandbox related management goes here. I have a different bucket, different subscription that I can able to park things. If you want to accelerate this, there are a lot of ways to accelerate. I'll show you how to do that. Now, how do I start my journey? First thing is actually, in order to start your journey, you must have a partner. Okay, you need to align your people internally. If you don't align your internal department people, you will fail. Then once you align, right, we talked about, so many things here aligning. It could be in a fresh or it could be a brownfield. You need to have various partner, then you can do it. Then you can enhance it. Okay. Then you can go to the next one. You can see that design area that you need to look at. You need to look at how my billing and the Azure Active Directory is going to connect. And identity, which identity I'm going to use. Do I need a two-factor? Do I need to have a conditional access? All this thing then. Then network topology, what type of topology that I'm going to design. Then what are the resources that I'm going to utilize, right? That is in the design area that you need to consider. Now, the next one is actually is the various Terraform model that we have. Sorry, various blueprint that we have. We have deployed various things. By clicking this button, you can able to deploy directly into Azure. I'll show you how it look like. Okay. Then you have a cloud adoption framework. Then you have various landing zone examples are given here. Okay. You can browse later. All the links are available in my slide. Later on, I can share with you. So now you can see here, there are a lot of examples that you have. If I click one of the thing, it will take you to this page called Enterprise Scale Foundation. Okay, this is the landing zone that you are seeing here. In this landing zone, you will be able to deploy this only management group. For example, you want to deploy tenant, then you want to deploy the management group and everything, you can able to go ahead and do it. For example, how does it look like? If I go to the management group here, right? If I click my deployment, basically it will show me that the deployment of everything. Okay. So if I go here, my management group, you can see that my root group that I have deployed. Then you can see that my nested group that I deployed. Inside, you can able to see that my CAF landing zone, and I have a landing zone for connectivity. I do have a landing zone for online. Then I do have a landing zone for platform. Then I have a landing zone for identity. Then I do have CAP. So because I have a mini subscription, then you can able to see how do I group all these things here. Okay. To deploy this entire structure, okay, you just need to do one thing. Just go to the browser here, right? You can click any one of the link that here, okay? If I take this, if I copy this link, you can just click, but I'm not doing that because I have a different subscription. I'm just copying the link here, okay? But if you click here, it will take you same thing, what I'm going to do. You go to this page and click and paste it, okay? Now, when I do this, you can see that the whole deployment actually become a template for you. You just need to tell, right, which location you want to do this. Then you want to do a core setup, right? If I do ICSS, then you want a dedicated or you want a single. Single means it will deploy only in one subscription, everything that you want. Okay, if you say dedicated, it will take you to the next page. Then you can go and say that I want to deploy log analytic workspace and monitoring and everything. Then which subscription that you want to, because you have different subscription name, where you want to place this. Then you can say that I want to do this in the Azure sponsorship. Then it will ask you, these are the policies that I have. Do we want me to enable all these policies? If you say yes, it will deploy. If you say no, it won't deploy those policies. Now you can provide your email address. You can provide all the policies, whichever you want, you can select. Okay, now then you can provide, if you want to automate directly from GitHub account, you can provide integrate with your GitHub account. The instructions are available how to integrate in this link. Now, if you go to the network topology, you want to deploy hub and spoke hub. You can click this hub and spoke. You want to deploy virtual WAN, you can click. Depends on this, the menus or the options will change below. Okay, then you can select where you want to have this, right? For me, it's in a connectivity subscription. Which location you want to do. Then you enter, then you provide in your IPX for range. Then do you want to have availability zone? Then you select the availability zone here. Then once you've done this, then you can go to identity. Then you select the subscription where you want to deploy the identity. After you have done all this, right, you can able to deploy this entire thing, which connectivity, whether you want to connect this to your corporate network, for example, express route where it is leading, where you want to do this, you can connect the express route and all this thing. By doing this entire thing, the menu, just few menu that you see, the whole thing will deploy like this, right? Just now what I show you, the whole thing will be deployed. The whole thing when deployed, what it does for me, right? Yes, it deploys, but I don't know, right, what it does for me. Basically, what happened here, if you look at this, if I go to my management group, then if I click my policies, then you can see that I want to set certain policy at the top level. OK, when I say that I want to set certain policy in the top level, then I can able to see what are the policies that I'm setting here. OK, then you can see whatever policies that I given, I can able to see here. For example, if I go, I don't have any policy at rule level. If I go and select the next level, if I select, then you can able to see the policies that is coming here. OK, for example, I have deployed these policies. So any subscription that I'm going to park under my CAF landing zone, these policies automatically going to deployed. OK, for example, here I have Azure benchmark policies. In this Azure benchmark policy, you can see that there are a lot of things that inside available here. Let's load quickly while it is coming. OK, so it's come already. So you can see that I want to implement security traffic for, OK, implement security for internet traffic. What does it mean? If you look at this, you can see that I don't want to allow, things, for example, ensure that all the network enterprise segmentation is there, firewall NSGs are there, right? You can see that those policies are already defined. And which are the resources is compliant, which is non-compliant. By looking at this, if this policy audited for me and give me the things is actually how many of them non-compliant on this specific purpose, right? I can go and I can look at all my non-compliance items, resource that comply, resource that did not comply. Example here, these particular one is not complied to the storage, the policy that I defined. These are the resources already complied. It audit and tells me that these are the things that you have an issue. So any item that I put at the policy that I can take it. Now, if I go one level further, right? If I go and take it into my landing zone, then each landing zone has a different policy. If I take my landing zone, it has more policy than my previous one because I want to specifically put more things inside. Previously, you see, right, there are only certain policy. Here you can see store more. There are a lot of other policies that you have. In this policy that you can see here, okay, every subnet you have, RDS not up there, RDP allowed, access not allowed, and all this thing that you can able to see. Now, if I go to my identity subscription here in my identity, right, in the platform perspective, in identity, I want to have a different thing. I don't want in identity deploy in a public IP. I don't even allow any public IP in my identity. Deny creation of public IP because identity is very important. I don't want anybody to route anything to public. I don't want anybody to do anything to my identities. In the subscription, the whole subscription, I want to deny that. OK, that's an idea. So I put the policy, right? I want to prevent this not happening. Example, if I go to my subscription, I go and create a resource group, or actually is let's see whether I have one resource group under identity. OK, let's create a resource group. Okay. I just create a resource group. OK, public IP range. IP public. OK, I just select Southeast Asia and I create. OK, my resource group will be created. OK, very fast that will be created. OK, now if I go to this resource group, I'm trying to create a public IP. OK, when I type public IP, then I can see that my public IP. I'm trying to create this. It asks me all the detail, IP, ICC, say ICSS, IP. Then I say Microsoft internal, then nothing else. I'm trying to create. Now, if you look at this, right, it's starting deployment and everything. It's starting deployment. OK. Oh, sorry. It's a connectivity that I selected, not the other one. OK, let me go and create public IP because I selected wrong subscription, which allow the rules, right? I should select the things that which is not allowed, correct? So I go to identity because this is the right subscription. I go and create here public IP because I didn't exactly locate where I'm selecting. Okay, I should select the subscription is identity, right? So if I select this, it should deny my rule. See, validation is failed. If I click my validation is, it says that deny creation of IP. You have a policy, the policy never allow you to create. It's help you to prevent certain things happening. When you prevent, then you don't need to worry, right? Because it's already prevented. Similarly, if I go to any other resource group, right, I can detect certain things. So what I did actually for this demo, I created a certain resources in the resource group. I actually let's break that, right? Because otherwise everything works perfect. We don't know what we are doing. So if I deploy the Hadoop workload here, okay, where is Hadoop workload that I deploy? If I go to my deployment, you can see that the policy, whenever I deploy new workload, the policy comes and trying to deploy automatically because I don't in my deployment, when I deploy this template, I don't include the stuff. For example, here is this is trying to link my network interface card and take the diagnostic log and take it to the my workbook and plug it, right? So that I can get all my diagnostic setting right. So I purposely break this because I want to show how my policy trying to enforce. Okay, this policy trying to enforce my stuff so that I'm able to get this item, then I can able to deploy this, right? So the whole thing is actually is all about how we are able to enforce things. So this the error that you are seeing, that my policy trying to run and enable, but I don't have enough permission, it denied. So I no need to do anything, right? Because once I define in my central place in my management group using my template, all my policies, all of the stuff is taken care. For example, if I go and move my subscription, if you go to the subscription, right, you can see that my subscription here, I go to the policy. In this policy that you can see only these 3 items are enabled. If I go to my management group, if I go and move this specific subscription to my landing zone, another landing zone, right, then I can able to see that subscription here. There's my AKS connectivity subscription. I don't know why that subscription not appearing here. Should appear there in my list. Okay, so I can move this subscription to any of the subscription that I want by adding the subscription. If I come here, I want to bring that to the decommission, whatever it is, I can able to move by clicking this, right? I don't know why that link is not appearing here. It should appear for me. Okay. Anyway, so let me move on. So basically is when I move the subscription to here, the policies that I define inside the specific area, all the policies automatically get inherited. Okay, great. So all of them looks cool, Faisal. But the one thing is actually I don't understand, where do I see everything in central place? Because you have so many things, are going on. But I can't go and look at everything in individual subscription, right? I need a central place to look at. So for that, you go to Azure Security Center. Inside Azure Security Center, you can see that there are actually resources that are available. How many resources are unhealthy? You can click, you can see the resources are unhealthy here. So then if you want to see the compliance perspective, you can click the regulatory compliance. You can able to see the regulator compliance and everything. Okay, I have very less resource here. Let me switch to my other subscription that I have here. If you look at this subscription, I go here. You can see I have a 30 plus subscription on this. You can see that I have a 30 over subscription that I have coverage here. OK, so I have 30 subscription. I'm looking in all my 30 subscription. I have a 801 31 unhealthy item. Now, one of the requirement that my security team has given me, hey, Faisal, look at, I want to monitor every single exe file is executed. I don't want anything that execute any VM comes in. I want to ensure that something is actually executed. I want to make sure that that is I approve. So you can create a group. By creating a group, what you can do, you can put application inside. For example, I can go and here, right, which actually I'm able to run. For either I'm able to run exe, whether I am able to run certain files, all this I can able to define here. Anything that malicious code are trying to run, it will detect and tell you, give you an alert. Basically, these all auto enforced, right? So I can go here, I can create a custom policy. Then I can go and say that whether it's Windows or Linux, right? Whether it's a global, then is an Azure or non-Azure resources, whether you want to have a exe or any file, then which file, which group that you want to put this, and what are the things that you want to match, right? You can able to define all this. By doing this, what we can do, we can always able to detect this and able to give you an alert. One. Second is actually, if you look at right, I'm in here, but I don't know what my network is doing. I have a huge footprint. I don't know the network, how the networks are each other communicating, right? We have a very fantastic map here that you can see which network is communicating to what, right? If I can go and filter which one is going to internet, which one going to intranet, right? I can able to see all the traffics that I'm analyzing here. Then I can able to say that whether it's a low risk, high risk, medium risk, that I can able to get it, right? All the items that you can able to see. If I want to go and see which other thing is allowed to traffic, for example, which one is allowed to what, right? The traffic is going where? Because I don't want this particular net things to communicate to another subnet, another VNet, right? You can able to see visually all the traffic flow that is happening. You can very easily able to detect and able to say, hey, this particular VNet should not communicate to this. Why is communicating? Or this one has actually VNet peering. Why it has it is. Why don't we actually go and relook into this, right? We can able to see. For here, there's internet traffic is going out. Why is internet traffic is going out, right? You can able to look at all this kind of details. So many things. I think there is a separate session for Azure Security Center. You can able to look at all these items, right? Then there is a regulatory compliance. If your regulators are actually looking for, you have a benchmark, you want to have a different type of regulatory compliance, you can able to look into the different type of regulatory compliance. Then if you want to add a custom compliance, you can also add a custom compliance here. You can able to go and see the custom compliance. Let me take that other one. So you can go and add a custom compliance from here, and you can able to look into your compliance, right? My compliance. Okay, so you can get the custom compliance. So just you can go and add anything that you want. Any compliance, non-compliance resources, by clicking this, you can drill down to the specific resources, then you can able to see. These are very high level. Okay, now let me go back to my documentation. You can be able to see all this, right? So now you have a HTTP, sorry, you have a different type of management group. You have different type of project that you have here. You can go and deploy the description. You can see that how the description is going to look like. What we are covering, all of them is actually very well documented. Okay, you can see virtual WAN. You can see the enterprise scale hub and spoke architecture. All of them is actually available as a code inside. Just let you know. Okay, if we go to this doc, then you want to deploy this, you can deploy very easily. Example, for now, I have deployed the entire enterprise scale landing zone, right? But I don't want to deploy everything. I want to modularize. Can I modularize? Yes, you can do that as well. You go to GitHub, then you go to AEZ ARM template, then you look at this, there is a PowerShell script. You want to only deploy the structure of the management group, just run this command. will do. If you want to deploy only a root management group, you want to deploy only certain policies, not all, you can deploy, right? You want to, for example, I like the identity subscription is, some of the stuff that is deployed, the policies. You can take this and rename it and you can deploy it, right? Those things is actually is available. All the template actually is available on this path. Okay, you can able to see Azure Management Subscription and Template under this path. All the templates are available. You can take it and they can reuse it. Similarly, we do have a same thing for Terraform. Okay, we do have a Terraform here, the CAF landing zone for Terraform. If you are familiar with the Terraform, go ahead and take this Terraform landing zone and deploy yourself and enjoy. Then if you are actually want to do with Kubernetes, I want to deploy Kubernetes completely using Terraform. Here is actually the whole landing zone. You can able to deploy your Terraform here. The whole thing is actually available as a Terraform script. Okay, here you can deploy. Then how do you deploy infrastructure using CAF? The command and everything is given. How we can deploy a sample application. The sample application codes are given here. Okay, all of them is readily available. Now you want to do Hadoop migration, you can also deploy your Hadoop migration projects. Okay, those things also available as a bicep template. Okay, you have bicep, you can able to deploy bicep template. Okay, so there are certain things that you want to do, egress traffic, ingress traffic patterns. You have fantastic patterns are available here. You can take this pattern, you want to test this pattern, you can go ahead and deploy using PowerShell script, right? All of them you can able to use without any single code. Okay, so these are the things that actually I want to walk through. There are a lot of landing zone that you can have. For example, you have built the landing zone, you want application deploy, you can deploy it. You want to deploy a data related landing zone, you can deploy data related landing zone. You want to deploy AKS related landing zone, you can deploy AKS related landing zone. AKS actually multiple versions with private cluster and non-private cluster that you can deploy. Then you want to deploy a desktop VDI, you have VDI template here. Okay, then that's it for the template. So you can able to see all these items in this item. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going back to my slide. These are the principles that you see how we can able to do. I have given you the example and walk you through some of this test and also some of the demos because time is very limited here. I have to rush through all this thing, but in a high level, you've got all the resources where it is available. All of them is available, right? You can able to deploy. When I share the slide, you can go to this GitHub page. You can able to get all this deployment script and everything that you want. When you deploy, you can able to get management groups, landing zones. You can able to grab enterprise scale connectivity. Then you want to have a multi-subscription, multi-things also you can able to do. Here is all the reference that you see my guidance and implementation guidance, reference implementation, all of them that you have seen here. So quick recap. So we have seen how Azure subscription look like, how is that mapped to AWS. Then we've seen what are the challenges that we have in the enterprise environment when you want to migrate, why the security teams are keep stopping, how do we overcome that. Then we talked about what is landing zone, high level. Then I show you how do we start, where do we start, right? Then I took you to the landing zone demo. The demo is actually help you to understand how the entire landing zone looks like when you deploy. Okay, with this, let me move on to Q&A. Okay, Mike, you can open the questions and you can ask me anything, and as long as related to landing zone, I'm really glad to answer that.
Faisal, I have one question.
Please.
So in our case, we are right now having more than 22 subscriptions in Azure, where we are doing our dev, QA, production. Now, if we introduce the concept of landing zones in our case, how are we going to do that? Are we going to create everything from scratch? What will happen to our existing subscriptions as an application running in AKS? Will they see any impact? So how to initiate, how to start on a different effort which will not disturb our existing subscription, and how we are going to merge ultimately into the landing zone?
Okay, so our prescriptive guidelines actually is meant for brownfield and greenfield deployment. Okay, So basically, the thing is actually is doesn't going to break anything when you move one subscription to another. Okay, just that is what I was trying to show. Unfortunately, somehow that is not able to manage to show here. Actually, I want to show that because I assume that this is my AKS deployment. This is actually my one of the existing subscription. I want to move this to one of my landing zone here, right? That is the intention that I want to do. When I do that, right, basically when I go here, I try to do that, it should able to get my subscription, then it only provide you the audit policy. So basically the policies will able to audit and tell you what is right, what is wrong. It doesn't break your workloads. The workload continue to run. Okay, so it will run and it just tell you that you have a red flag. Then you go and see whether the red flag need to be corrected or you want to, say that no, this is a known thing. I don't want to do anything. For example, in this case, right? If I go to my enforcement here, one of the enforcement policy, let me take quickly to that. So risk compliance, right? If I go to my policy, each and every item that you see, my policy or any of the things, sorry, let's take something here. Head of security group, traffic, storage account. So what you can do, every time that you see, this is a new feature that we introduced. You can see the exemption, right? You can click the exemption, then you say that, hey, this one I know, I don't want to detect. Okay, you can ignore, please ignore from now, because in your organization there are development subscription, there are UAT subscription, there is a production subscription. Previously we don't have this, right? Everything shows as a flag because I don't want to enable certain things for my development, certain things for my production, certain things for my UAT. So in this case, what you can do, you can go and say that exempts this from the things, whether you want me to do something, whether you want me to say that waiver is a risk is accepted or it is mitigated by third-party tool. It's not mitigated by Azure. Somebody else is helping me to mitigate, right? You just declare that. Once you declare, that red flag goes away for you. Okay, you want to deny, you just enforce deny policy. Right now, you don't need to enforce deny policy. Basically, you are just using the detect and no remediation required when you do a brownfield. Monitor, then you apply for things. Okay. Hope that answers.
Faisal, Nishant here.
Yes,
I would like
Nisha.
to take your thoughts in terms of building a multi-cloud environment. During that time, what are the thoughts and what are the best practices that need to be considered in terms of landing zone?
Okay, see, every cloud is actually has a unique way. Okay, there is no single things that you can do in the one thing. One thing you can do, one single pipeline in your DevOps pipeline. You build your DevOps pipeline, then go for a standardization of code. If you are want to go for multi-cloud strategy, the most of the companies that I work with go with Terraform. Okay, then they
Okay.
build script using Terraform. They use the DevOps strategy, either use Jenkins or whatever it is. They build the pipeline. They actually push the code to either Azure or AWS or GCP, whatever it is. They're just pushing the code across, right? Uh, it's not easy, but still it has a flexibilities and some benefits. But if you ask me, I would recommend to start with one cloud, mature, then move on to the next cloud.
Thank you. And is there any document available for adaptation of framework for multi-cloud in Azure in terms of landing zone, which you showed
I
us?
can
There are
tell
few.
you, I can tell you, no provider is going to provide you because every provider want to have their own. If you ask me, if it's not a community event, I will say that don't go for multi-cloud, go for one. Since it's a community event, I'm just being bit honesty.
Okay. Thanks for that. Yeah.
If this is useful, is it safe to say that landing zone is a standard or a framework which has comprises of all the policies, which is we can get it from the blueprint and ARM templates, which has also top of the security standards as well?
Okay, so the landing zone that what we created, right? We have actually given the various prescriptive method, right? This is our opinion, okay? It's not it's just an opinionated architecture, okay? We are not saying that this is right, this is wrong. What we are trying to do here is we actually learn from various customer. We bring this to you with various policies, right? So all this actually you are seeing here, the policies or whatever it is depends on the item. Each one, everything that we have declared. These are the thing is available. Azure Security Center has certain thing. These are additional things that we put in across. Okay.
And the same can be leveraged for the existing organizations as well, which even they are multi.
Okay.
Cool.
So you can do that. But the thing is, what we did actually, we went on a one step. We are just telling you a recommendation here, and also we give you the script for that. Make it your life faster.
One more question. Do you see any cost implications because of this?
No cost actually. There's see Azure policy, no money. Okay. Only is actually enforce and detect and things. When you actually do enable Azure Security Center with the Defender, there is some money is enabled. If you actually enable Azure Security Center, for trial, there is no money is involved. Okay.
Only one last question, Faisal, from my end. So in Azure Security Center, we have an option to integrate the like the other cloud, multi-cloud into the Azure Security Center, right? Is there any plan from Microsoft just to include any blueprints in terms of or in terms of having that policy in place, like what we have for Azure? Uh, I mean, the baseline policies for the resources that
So
we have for Azure.
what do we do today, right? We have a AWS, we have a GCP. You can pull your AWS things to here. You can pull your GCP to here. For example, if I go to my secure score, and if you look at any of the resource that actually is available here, let's take the secure score or actually is AWS account. Then it connect to my AWS account. It pull the AWS all the audit data and shows me in my single plane. Okay, so I'm just trying to get regulatory. Let's see. I hope I will get something from AWS. So it will show you in AWS or not, right? So then there is an actually available here. The green light. The thing is become a yellow color here. If it's come, the data come from AWS. Okay. So that's the only thing we have. We are not going to enforce the AWS, but what we do generally, we actually is detect and tell you that these are the things happening in AWS for your resources. You can able to see one single pane of glass to see things. That's all. Okay. You can integrate.
We are running short of the time.
Yeah, I know. I totally agree. So,
yeah.
People actually is. Can you Rahul, Nishant and Aslam just drop your email address in the chat window? I will send you the code.
Okay, that's great. Yeah. Fine. Okay. Thank you, Rahul. I'll stop the meeting now, and you can chat on the chat box if you want to respond to anybody.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Bye bye. Yeah. Let's join the next track. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.